Hello everyone, Johnny Minder here. Welcome back to those who also watched the reaction to the Fire Emblem Fortune Swift Direct stream before this one. Now we'll continue our Let's Learn Japanese with series Pokémon FireRed. We moved Kairu no Tameni Kanewanaru for the frog for whom the bell tolls to Friday, as mentioned. So without further ado, let's start. We went out of Mount Moon here simply to go to the Pokémon Center. I didn't mention what we did last time, but we'll do so here with the in-game summary. Both the repels. Went out of Mount Moon again for the Pokémon Center. Here in the Pokémon Center we moved Pokémon around. Then we saved here in front of a rocket. We have, as usual, to check what he has to say after being defeated. We did that last time. But we also have to check Ivysaur's Pokédex page as we evolved Bulbasaur during this fight. First, what the Rocket Grant has to say. Okay. He says, Ningen ga umareru mae kara kono atari ni wa, and then continues clearly. First and foremost we have Ningen, a Chinese compound, and I think it's one of those unaccented, as most of those are. The nin is the kanji for person, people we have already studied. This is the Chinese compound with the meaning human being, we could say. Can also be in general mankind, technically humankind. Unaccented ningen. You can see why from the nin, the kanji we study for person. The one for gen is the one for space interval. For now, more the strictly Japanese readings, Aida and Ma. These. Then we have the subject particle ga. Umareru, we've actually technically studied its kanji because you can use the one again, this one for the verb ikiru, even more common, also used in various Chinese compounds with the reading se or sho. One of the strictly Japanese readings is umareru. Unaccented actually, umareru. Technically, the verb can be written with a different kanji. This one can be used anyway, to be born. Actually straight up from the verb umu. To give birth. Should still be an accented and it is, because this one straight up is the passive form. This one straight up, the one how you conjugate the passive form in contemporary Japanese. Umu, verb, verb, we can change the u into a and then add reru to make the passive form of the verb. To be given birth, technically, cioè, then simply to be born, yeah. Then we have after it mae, which strictly speaking is a noun. So yeah, the usual would be a relative clause. This, though, is a noun we have seen before, with the meaning in front of, well, before the fundamental meaning, both in a physical location sense, so in front of, or before with a temporal meaning, so yeah, earlier and so on. So when we put a verb in or a clause, like in this case technically, before mae, yeah, we simply have, in English would be before doing the action of the verb. Okay, then we have kara, a particle which means from. So yeah, from before. Then we have kono, part of the kosodo series as usual, close to both the speaker and the listener. So far from the speaker, close to the listener, far from both. Do the interrogative, koso are usually an accented, do accent on do itself. With the no, we get the demonstrative adjective, so yeah, these or these. Something. In case the following noun is atari, which I do think we have seen before. Don't remember if in this very series. Its meaning of actually atari, the accent is on the first mora, yeah. Yeah, now I've also confirmed it. Neighborhood, technically, more in general, vicinity, surroundings. And yeah, then also around, about, or thereabouts. Then we have the particle ni. Considering the noun before it, I'd say most likely the locative particle, so in at, with verbs of staying. With other kinds of verbs, we will use de as the particle. Then we have the topic particle warit as a ha. And yeah, so far we have, as for these surroundings, or this vicinity, from before, humans well, humanity better, in English we have to use the past, was born. In Japanese, here we have the verb actually in the present form, as we have seen, but yeah, the meaning should be this still. It actually, the logic, here it's somewhat weirder, but yeah, when you use technically before in other contexts, it's before doing the action, so yeah, that action isn't done. So yeah, that's why we don't use the ta form, so past form of the verb, before mae in Japanese. Unlike, I think we might have seen it before, when we use the opposite word ato after, we have the verb in ta, because yeah, after something has happened. So hearing is in this sense that we use that, but yeah. After that, it says simply, yeah, so as for, before, all that, as for, and all that, we have already said. Then it says Pokémon ga sundeta rashize. And yeah, so we have Pokémon, of course. subject particle ga. Sundeta, so actually from the verb sumu, to live. So yeah, actually one of the verbs that counts as a verb of staying, and so requires the particle ni, to live, of humans, to reside, to inhabit, and so on. Accented sumu. Here we may have to make the te form. It's a verb, golden verb, so we have to follow the rules. It's in mu, so it becomes nde, because of course we changed actually the u into i. Sumi te, the u into i to make the continuative form, sumi to then attach the te and make the te form, sumi te. But then the i fell, so we had sum te. The on its own became simply a nasal in general, so nowadays written as the moral nasal, but we'll see in a second. Yeah, so the nasal, and that changed the vowel. Sorry, not the vowel, the consonant of the te from unvoiced to voiced. That's because, as we have seen before when talking especially about these te forms, but other contexts as well, voiced consonants, what are simply now voiced consonants in Japanese, in classical Japanese, they used to be also prenasalized. So when we had de, it was actually de. So yeah, then you can see why if we put a nasal before the te, yeah, it was actually pronounced as that changed it straight up into a voiced but actually also prenasalized consonant. Nowadays we simply write it the moral nasal and then the voiced variant of te, with the duck ten, nigori, or however you want to call it, in the top right of the kana. The form of the verb in this case required because then we had ita, here contracted, and so we only see the ta, from iru, to be as in to exist, another verb of staying on its own, of people and animals, of animated things, so people and animals. But after that form of a verb, it becomes an auxiliary with the meaning continuing action or state, as we have seen before. Yeah, this is one of the most common auxiliaries considering its meaning, and yeah, to be doing the action of the verb in te, or to have add whatever the verb in te says. And yeah, you can see why, especially with the first meaning, how common it is also in English, and yeah, you can see why then it's so common also in Japanese. Iru, ru verb is some verb, so we can drop the ru to make the continuative form, and then simply attach the ta to make the ta form, and so past form of the verb in plain speech. Here contracted as mentioned. After it we have this rashi. I think we have seen it before. Let me see that. Okay, we're fine. Rashi is a adjective, an auxiliary adjective, because yeah, it's used after verbs, as we can see here, with the meaning seeming, appearing. So yeah, it's actually, as also says the online dictionary, expresses judgment, but one based on evidence or reason or trustworthy hearsay. It's worth mentioning that because we have seen other things, other forms similar, but that aren't based on straight up evidence, reason, or trustworthy hearsay, but simply appearance, for example. the so form, that one. But yeah, we'll see them again in the future. Can also be used after nouns and so on, with the meaning simply ish, typical of, but yeah, no, here we have it after a verb, so yeah. What we have, the first meaning we mentioned. Last but not least, the final sentence particle ze, yeah, we've already seen it. Melt or more language, familiar language. Yeah, here I actually say simply like force or emphasis, and also to specify that, yeah, it's a male grant here, and also it's a Team Rocket grant that, of course, you would use such a particle. In other cases also we have seen threatening or ironic. We have seen that usage as well with also a previous grant, underling, as we have seen even closer to the Japanese translation. But yeah, now that we have checked that out, actually I didn't translate it, but yeah, it simply says so. It seems based on so trustworthy hearsay in this case, that Pokemon in general were living, strictly speaking, and we have to add it with the first part. So yeah, as for around these parts and so on, yeah, Pokemon were living here from before even humans were even born. So yeah, but yeah, now that we have seen what this Rocket Grant had to say, we can check the Pokédex, I think, actually. Yeah, no, not here. I think it's actually set up in... well, we can set up simply... We can go with the order. Yeah, it's easier that way. I don't remember, though, where... now I am curious. Where is... I don't remember when we got the Bulbasaur, which should... okay, it's still here, but at the end, somehow. But yeah, so... the category is Sogen no Pokemon. So yeah, Sogen, again, grassy field, literally, grass field, grassy field, grassland, meadow, then Chinese compound and accented, possessive particle, no Pokemon. But yeah, we have here Ivysaur. The Japanese name is Fushigi So. And yeah, first and foremost, reminded that Bulbasaur was called Fushigi Dane, a combination of Fushigi, strange, mysterious, and so on, a contraction of Fukashigi, as we have seen. So yeah, cannot, something that cannot be thought and conceived, more or less, based on the shigi at the end. At the end nowadays, that's a Chinese compound accent on the first mora, with the meaning simply conjecture, guess. So you can see then from that, literal cannot be thought or considered or considered. Yeah, you can see why then it becomes strange, mysterious, and so on. Fushigi is unaccented on its own, despite the accent of Fukashigi, so be careful, which is accent on the Ka. A Chinese compound of 3 kanji in Fushigi, 4 in Fukashigi. But yeah. And then we had Dane for Bulbasaur. So first and foremost, the voicing of Tane, because it becomes the second word part of a compound. It's of strictly Japanese origin, that usually happens to those. Tane, accent on the first mora on its own, means a seed. So yeah, literally strange, mysterious seed, but also can be seen as da, the copula, and ne, the final sentence particle. So literally, simply it is strange, isn't it? I mentioned that because actually Fushigi-so, the Japanese name of Ivysaur, we can see here, also has that kind of wordplay. First and foremost, again, Fushigi, but that we have already mentioned. The so in it is can be seen as the Chinese reading of the kanji for grass. We have mentioned before the term for grass, ksa. Also, this is a very game because of the grass type moves. Ksa, accent on the last mora. The first one is the U is barely heard if at also. Usually doesn't stay there anyway. Yeah, by the way, yeah, the saw, we actually, as mentioned, saw again, yeah, it's the same saw technically. So yeah, mysterious, grass, weed, technically herb, grass more in general. But there's also the wordplay, because saw is also the auxiliary adjective I actually mentioned incidentally when mentioning the difference with rashi. Yeah, this one is an adjective found after the mass stem of a verb, the continuative form, or an adjective stem. So actually with an adjective, we simply attach it to the adjective without anything in between. That's worth mentioning because of the difference with the other so, but we'll ignore it for now. This one means seeming, appearing that, but more in the sense looking like, as having the appearance of the various translations given by the dictionary. But yeah, so this one is that it looks, so yeah, based on how it looks straight up. So again, both mysterious, grass, but also it looks strange, mysterious, and so on. So yeah, all that. Then we have Tane, Pokemon, as the category of the Pokemon itself. Tane, we've already mentioned seed, so yeah. And then we have the description. This is what we are here first and foremost. Well, after, of course, mentioning the name, since we didn't have the time last time. But yeah, the description says Tsubomi ga senaka ni tsuiteite yobu no kyushu shite iku to oki na hana ga saku to iu. And yeah, actually a big description, not divided in more parts. So yeah, let's translate it step by step as usual. First and foremost, we have Tsubomi, which we have seen. I think we have also looked it up. I took the physical dictionary to check the etymology. There were two theories. One combining tsubo. Tsubo on its own is the term we have seen used for vase, vase, however you pronounce it. Me as a variant of me. To verify if that one could be correct, you would have to check also the actual syllables in old Japanese, so even before Middle Japanese, which is the one usually considered for the classical Japanese, because there actually there were more vowels or vowel. So yeah, you can tell then based on that if those are useful for etymology. Unfortunately, not as mentioned in. Sometimes Wiktionary, for example, mentions it in some of its etymologies. But yeah, it's way less common that. And by the way, not shown in kana because it actually the distinction was lost after before the creation of kana. But yeah, regardless, could be that. So yeah, me a variant of me, which means bad also on its own. Yeah, this means tsubomi means bad. Me is another word for bad. That one more in general also sprout, shoot, accented. That me. The other one was a continuative form of a verb tsubomu, not used, not found nowadays in Japanese, but there are some potential terms derived from it. Like a verb, I think it was a tsubo. Actually, we can look it up that this time. Tsubomaru, with the meaning to get narrower, to contract, which could make sense technically related to bad. A bad is something, quote unquote, in a sense contracted in a way. So it could be related to that. Yeah. But yeah, so we have seen bad, tsubomi. The accent of tsubomi accented on the last more, if I recall correctly. And by the way, that accent would make sense also for unaccented, the continuative form, so corresponding noun of an accented verb. Unfortunately, tsubomaru is unaccented, so that's there are sometimes those irregularities, but yeah, more often than not, no. So could be the first theory instead, but yeah, you would have to check if me can actually be a variant of me, then weird, but could be. Then we have the subject part. Koga. Senaka. I think we have seen it. Most likely still in this series. Maybe even simply with the Bulbasaur Spades. A compound noun from se, which on its own means back of the body. Well, back. And so actually also by extension reverse, rear side, back of a chair and so on. By extension also height, stature, and actually it's used in an expression still with simply say in that way. Nowadays when we have this compound with naka, and naka is the usual term for middle, also interior in other contexts, and so on. We've even studied kanji. But yeah, so this senaka, unaccented, which could be makes sense considering that it's a strictly Japanese compound, and also can be several we have seen can be unaccented, is the term nowadays used for back of the body. Yeah, longer, so less likely to be confused with something else. And yeah. Then we have the particle ni. To we'll see in which way required by the verb. Well, actually state up the following verb here, which is tsuite. Tsuiteite, but yeah, first and foremost tsuite. From tsuku, yeah, the usual one. We haven't studied this kanji actually. We have studied another tsuku, but not this one. To be attached, and so on. Actually would be tsuku. Technically the U of tsu is barely heard if at all because it's written out as consonant, and so then the accent would move. Some still keep it there, but yeah. Be attached, connect with, and so on. U verb con verb, so to make that a form we have to change the U, well, becomes ite because we changed the U into I. Tsuki te, but then the K fell, so only the I remained tsuite. The form of the verb because then we had ite, well actually iru again, so a continuing action, or state actually in this case, the latter should be based on the sense, but we'll see it then in translation. And then we make that a form of iru, so simply same conjugation as the ta form we have already seen, drop the ru, add the te. The form, in this case, the second one, with its meaning without any auxiliary verbs, so yeah, do the action of the verb and the rest of the sentence, or by doing, while doing, and so on. After that, we have then yobun. Yobun is a Chinese compound, which you can easily tell also based on the pronunciation. Accent on the first mora, this one, so the second most common accent for those. Yeah, means nutrient, nourishment, literally combines the kanji, which has the meaning for the kanji on its own, more of, well, nurture, foster, and so on. So yeah, you can see then why here for nutrient, and then also bun, but which simply means a part, portion, and so on. So yeah, but yeah, so nutrient, nourishment. Object particle orite as one pronounced as such in careful speech and also singing. Then we have kyushu, another Chinese compound. This one, I think unaccented, but we'll check. It means absorption. Absorption, suction, attraction. But yeah, straight up in the sense of absorption. Yeah, unaccented is expected. Of course, a noun, based on the meanings I mentioned, can be turned into a verb by adding the verb suru, literally to do, unaccented on its own. Completely irregular, so we have to remember that its continuity form is shi, and then we attach the te to it, like verbs and verbs, so luckily that's easy at least. In this case, the te form is required because then we have the verb iku, we have now studied its kanji. It's worth mentioning that there's a distinction in general, not just for this verb in Japan. In contemporary Japanese, usually when certain words, verbs, for example, are used with their original meaning, so concrete meaning, we could say, as actions, are written with kanji if we still use their kanji. Like in this case, iku, if it meant to go, its original meaning, concrete meaning, we would write it with kanji if we used kanji. Yeah, here we are writing everything in kana, so not here, but yeah, like we have seen, for example, in Kairu no Tame ni Kane wa Naru, the other current Let's Learn Japanese with series. But when used as an auxiliary verb after the te form, yeah, no, then we actually usually write it in kana. So yeah, there's also that distinction, which actually is pretty convenient to distinguish them other than, of course, the context. Yeah, this one straight up comes after the form. But yeah, when we add that, we have simply technically still the meaning to go. More often, as in, can still literally be do the action of the verb in te and go. So yeah, literally combining these two. But yeah, more as an auxiliary would be do the action of the verb in te while moving in that direction. So yeah, in this case, while going. In this case, though, I think, but we'll see then when fully translating it, it actually has a temporal meaning. So yeah, from this point onward, so yeah, going forward, we could say, yeah, funny enough, there's that expression in English that's actually pretty appropriate for this. Notice the going. But yeah. So I think, I suspect with that meaning in this case. But yeah, after it we have a to here as a conjunction. One of the forms of the conditional, if, can also be when, and yeah, like, similar to English, then it would be also with temporal meaning, potentially. Then we have okina. Yeah, now we have studied even its kanji big. In its na form here, as an adjective, usually found, we have seen that its fundamental form would be a e adjective oki, used also technically before nouns still, but before nouns, and so modifying them, we can also have this na form. For everything else at the end of a sentence, we would go back to oki also for potential conjugation. But yeah, we have also this okina. The accent moves on the first mora here. So on the first o. So big. After it, we have the noun hana. Hana. This one accented on the last mora. It's worth mentioning because there's also hana unaccented, which means nose. I know this one, also based on the context, hana accented on the last mora means flower. We could say that also blossom, bloom, petal in general. Other extended meanings, but yeah, the fundamental one is flower, and then also, of course, blossom then. And then we have the subject particle ga. By the way, here we can hear its accent technically, ha, na, ga, low, high, low. Because when we don't add anything else, it would sound the same as an unaccented word. So it wouldn't be distinguishable from hana, nose, on its own, but yeah, here with the particle, yes. Then we have the verb saku, which means to bloom. The accent, I think an accent, yes it is. To bloom, to flower, to blossom, and so on. There are others. There's another verb saku, but with a meaning that doesn't make sense here. Literally, the subject is flower, so yeah, to bloom, to blossom. The other one, by the way, is also accented on the so saku. That one means to tear, to rip up, and other various meanings, but yeah, doesn't make sense. Then we have a to. Here as the particle with, as in a quotation here, a quoting particle, so yeah, technically with and before it the quotation. Because actually after it we have the verb iu, we have studied its kanji also, means to say. Here, so we have this to iu, it is said, or could be used to you. We have seen it before nouns. No, actually also here at the end technically. Cold, simply said as in cold. But yeah, here I'd say simply as it is said. Japanese doesn't simply uses the verb in the present form, base form of the verb. But yeah, so here it's saying that the bad a bad is attached to its implied of the Ivysaur spec, and it is said that if when it absorbs nutrients, it a big flower blooms. Well, actually, that blooms into, we could then say in English, a big flower. So yeah, we have seen that. Sorry, didn't press that. So yeah, we can close. And so we can now continue. Here, Mount Moon. Not for long, since we don't have that much time. Might go slightly beyond, but not too much. Okay, no, I don't want to send. I try to flee here simply. Okay. I do want to heal Mankey there. Unfortunately, last time we used, if not all, we have straight up a single PP for the Vine Whip Ivysaur. So yeah, no. We'll have to rely on Mankey for rock Pokemon. So yeah, I healed. Now it made sense to heal since it was missing slightly more than 20 HP. We have the typical Zubat here. We'll ignore it. I'm not using the repel. You might remember that we still have some. For a reason. Hopefully we'll see it, as I really hope we'll get that. But yeah, here we went around here. And honestly, here we are now so close anyway that it doesn't make sense to use it. But yeah, as you've seen, we have a rocket, so we'll tackle that first and foremost. Actually, considering that we might then go around Mount Moon a little in the future before leaving it. But yeah. For now, we have the rocket who says Kaseki wa Roketto dan ga mitsukeru no da. So yeah, first and foremost, the usual Kaseki. Actually, it was a Kaseki, I think it was unaccented. Yeah, we've seen it a lot. Unaccented, yes, Chinese compound. We have seen it a lot in this series, and this part, this section of the game specifically, because it means fossil. And Team Rocket here is looking for these fossils here in Mount Moon. They're here for that, to sell them, of course. Well, actually, technically not. I don't remember if it's straight up mentioned that it's for money. There's technically another reason, as we'll see in the future in this very game. But yeah, then we have the particle wa, topic particle, Roketto dan as usual, so yeah, rocket, group, gang in our case here, then simply translated as Team Rocket in English. The accent that we have seen before, Dan itself, so yeah, Roketto dan. Rocket on its own is Roketto, notice the doubling of the consonant, but also the accent moved on the ke in Japanese. We have the subject particle ga. Mitsukeru. a verb we have already seen in this very series, and I think recently again because of this whole matter. Yeah, it's the verb which means compound verb, which means to spot, the best, the closest meaning to the Japanese term to find, to discover, because yeah, it actually comes from miru. We have now studied kanji, means to see, to look at, to watch. Skeru, to apply, to attach, and so on. So yeah, literally to apply and seeing, as in to spot, to find, to discover. Despite the accent of skeru is unaccented, the compound, so be careful. Skeru is accented, but yeah, it's skeru unaccented. Be careful about that. And then we have the usual expression no da at the end. No denominalizer for verbs, thing as in fact. Da the copula in plain speech. Cioè, literally it is that, the fact is that, the explanation is that, and yeah, quite used here in Japanese as we have seen. So he's saying, yeah, as for the fossils in general, Team Rocket will, it is that Team Rocket will find them. And by the way, I noticed the future I used because yeah, verbs in the present form in Japanese, the present can be used also for a simple future. So yeah, will find, let's say, that makes more sense also in translation. Okay, then it continues there, so yeah, we can send it up. Then it says Fukkatsu sasereba I kanemoke ni naru. Okay, now he actually mentions it. So, of course, actually money is involved, but not, yeah, that I thought that would be the case. But not simply that. Yeah, here it says that is Fukkatsu, first and foremost. Chinese compound, of course, I think unaccented. Yes, it is unaccented. Revival, restoration, by extension also resurrection, rebirth. In our case, here of the fossils, technically. Nouns can be turned into a verb by adding suru. Here, though, we don't have simply suru, but we have sase reba. Suru completely regular, as I mentioned, so we have to remember that we replace it with saseru. You could also say we drop the ru. We change the u into a, and then add se-ru. But yeah, nowadays simply we could say replace suru with saseru. Saseru is the causative form of suru. Cioè, to make someone do the action of the verb. So in this case, to make the fossils revive. Saseru still an accent like suru. Ru verb is some verb. Yeah, causative forms are verbs is some verbs. So we can then change the u into e to then attach ba. When we add ba, yeah, we have another form of the conditional if when. I didn't mention that the one we thought is the closest one to the zero conditional in English. So when the action of the verb with the to happens, then something inevitably happens. The one in ba, we could say the first conditional. We've seen it actually in practice used as a second conditional, but yeah, it's a more generic conditional, we could say, in general. Less specified than the to with that meaning. Then we have I, adjective which means good. And then we have this kanemoke. funny enough, we've seen Moke in when we played Tomodachi Life. I added it as actually a different compound with Moke because of Wario. Here we have Kanemoke as the compound. First we have Kane, unaccented, the one which means metal, the original meaning, by extension then money, the more common meaning in Japanese, in contemporary Japanese, unsurprisingly. Unaccented Kane. We have also studied kanji, by the way. And then we have this Moke. Moke actually should come from a verb, mokeru. Let me look up one. I want to look up its etymology, if we can find it on Wiktionary. Okay, interesting enough, okay. It was from Ma'u Keru, and then the A'u became OU, so still long O. That's how you write long. One of the ways to OU is long O in contemporary Japanese. But yeah, it doesn't mention more of than that. But yeah, Mokeru, actually accent, so yeah, Mokeru, to profit, to get, to earn, to gain. But yeah, no, the better meaning is technically to profit, strictly speaking. Ru verb is a verb, so we can drop the ru to make the continuative form, and so the corresponding noun, moke, accent on the last mora, so yeah, regular from an accented verb. Profit, earnings, by extension can also be actually stroke of luck, but yeah, no. Profit, the fundamental meaning. So yeah, literally here we have money and profit. So you can see why it means then money making. The meaning of this compound. The accent becomes kanemoke. So yeah, the accent is on the mo. So the first mora of the second word part of the compound, yeah, a typical spot for the accent of compounds. In general, also these ones of strictly Japanese origin, even though there we have seen more variation. But yeah, so money making. Then we have the particle ni, to, into, because then we have the verb naru, we have seen it before, means to become, to turn into, we could also say, so you can see then why, we have it uses the particle ni, accented by the way. Yeah, so he's saying here, if we may revive them, we make them revive, strictly speaking in Japanese. They'll become, they turn into good money making, good profit. The compound I used in Tomodachi Life was o-moke, so yeah, adding to moke before it the prefix o, yeah, the kanji for big. So a large profit in that case, but yeah. Okay, we can tackle this this rocket underling. Okay, we have Ratata, sense Ratata. So we'll switch to Mankey. Okay, luckily only uses the whip. Might cause issues after because it lowers the defense, but yeah, not for now. We use our karate chop, and yeah, now it's starting to cause issues. But yeah, karate chop super effective and stronger, so yeah, we defeated it in one hit then. Then sends a Zubat. Yeah, switch to immediately Pikachu. Will avoid training because our Pokemon are hurting if it weren't clear enough here. Yeah, so we use Thunderbolt, I think is simply in English. The basic attacking electric move. Okay, I think a second one should suffer. Okay, no, not because of the healing. Lucky gets paralyzed, so okay. Didn't work that. Oh well. And then we use quick attack. Oh yeah, perfect. We defeated the Grant. Who says "Ooh, okottazo." First, we have this "ooh" as the exclamation. Yeah, here definitely has more as a oof. Actually, let me see if I can start to find it also in the dictionary. No, it doesn't show up. But yeah. After that, it says okotta from the verb okoru. We should have seen it because of Mankey. Yeah, it's the verb which means to get angry, get mad, to lose one's temper. Accented. Verb, verb, so yeah, to make that form, like whether here, whether folder use it's in Russo becomes about constant ta. We change the U into I, continuative form okori, then to attach the ta. But then the I fell, so okorta, difficult to pronounce, became simply double consonant ta, okotta. So yeah, he got angry here. And yeah, then the final sentence part goes on again, better more language. This one adds force, emphasis. So yeah, technically stronger than the Z we have seen. That one was light emphasis technically. Oh yeah, so yeah, he's saying yeah, that ooh of frustration, let's say in this case. Yeah, then he says I got angry. But yeah, with that we have defeated this Team Rocket member. Let's see quickly how long. Okay, no. This one I actually mentioned here. It's too funny, and we can take a slightly longer here, not much. He says. Ore o okoraseta omae wa Roketto dan no, and then continues. First and foremost, we have ore, first person singular pronoun, I, male or more language. This one rough or arrogant. Honestly, could be both in this case. Unaccented, by the way, ore. Object particle o. Okoraseta from okoru again, but we can change the verb and verb as mentioned. So we can change the u into a and then add seru. Notice that that's why I mentioned that for suru technically we could drop the ru, change the u into a and then add seru. Yeah, it's again the continuative form, sorry, not the causative form of the verb. So yeah, in this case, caused, well, better, made, implied me, angry. Well, actually, explicitly that made me angry. Causative form, a root verb is some verb, so yeah, we can drop the root, make the conjugative form here for real. To then simply attach the ta and make that a form, so a past form of the verb in plain speech. And also here, after it we have a noun, so actually a relative clause. The noun is omae. Second person singular pronoun, so yeah, you in the singular. Familiar language. Also technically considered maternal language. Yeah, formerly honorific, now actually very informal. Unaccented, this one as well. Topic particle wa, rocketto done again, so team rocket. Possessive particle no. So I will translate actually up to omaewa here. So as for you who made me angry, and then we have the rocketto done no, we have mentioned of Team Rocket. And yeah, then it says Buraku risto ni noru ze. So yeah, we have blacklist in adapted to the Japanese pronunciation. Notice the doubling of the consonant in buraku, but otherwise the usual, the additional u, because the most consonant can stay on their own in Japanese. So yeah, k becomes ku. But yeah, black. The accent should be like in English. Yes, it is on the ra buraku. Then we have risto, list. As usual, we have the additional u for the su, but o for the to, because otherwise it would change the pronunciation of the t with the i in chi, with the usual u in tsu. So yeah, we had o instead because of that. Yeah, risto, list. That we have seen before, lucky accent like in English. Most likely here it becomes actually, despite this space they put in this game, would become a compound, a bigger compound. So yeah, and in this case we would keep then the accent of the second word, second English word. So yeah, burakuristo, so the one of list, blacklist. Then we have the particle ni, tu. Although I say technically on, here we'll see why. Because then we have the verb noru. Noru, we have seen it before with the meanings, the fundamental one, to get on, a train, plane, and so on, to get in, to board. Get on also as in to mount, and so on. This one, though, most certain is the one written with a different kanji, but still an accent, so clearly related, with the meaning to be placed on, set on, to be piled on, to be loaded on, and so by extension also to appear in print, to be recorded, to be reported. I think we might have seen also actually this second meaning with the different kanji in this very game elsewhere, but anyway, yeah, definitely this. So you can see then why I mentioned as the translation on, considering that, and then the final sentence particles again. So yeah, so yeah, as for you who made me angry, you will, I'd say, maybe a future or now, simply, so present in the sense, you are appear in Team Rocket's blacklist. So yeah, I wanted to mention that because it was pretty funny. So, and for once we have actually checked what this trainer had to say after. Okay, I'd say we can then end it here. I want quickly to heal our Pokemon though, so that we don't forget. Actually, we have only one potion left. Between the two, I think actually Mankey most likely makes more sense. Although Pikachu would be convenient. We'll think about it next time. I might straight up forget. I wanted to... yeah, there you can't do anything. I wanted to show without... yeah, you can see that those stairs there. I think that if I go further, the event might start, so no, we'll save actually here. But yeah, this way we'll actually have a pretty interesting start next time. Yeah, we saved, we can close the game. And yes, so today we played for less time because, of course, of the previous stream with the reaction to the Fire Emblem Fortune Swift Direct. Yeah, we continued FireRed, Mount Moon. Well, first we actually checked what the other Team Rocket Grant had to say after being defeated last time. Ivysaur's Pokédex page, since we hadn't had the time to check it. Yeah, then we continued, and as we have seen, here at the end we got to this point, which will actually be a pretty peculiar event. Hello, Guillaume. Yeah, we're actually ending the stream now, but nice to see you show up for to say hi. But yeah, I was mentioning that yeah, we continued Pokemon FireRed here. We got to that part of Mount Moon. I'll mention that yeah, we have defeated Rocket Grant. And we saw a pair of stairs, not a ladder, straight up stairs on simply on the ground. And yeah, if you have played these games or any other Gen 1 games before, yeah, you might you know what that is. It's a pretty important event, but yeah, we'll keep it for next time, which won't be on Friday as usual. Because today we played FireRed, we are moving to Friday, our other Let's Learn Japanese with a series, Kairu no Tameni Kamune wa Naru, the frog for whom the bell tolls, to have more time to play it, because yeah, today we also had the previous stream with the reaction to the Direct that happened yesterday. But yeah, so our plan for FireRed is next week on Monday, then so back to usual. In between, yeah, as mentioned, we have Kairu no Tameni Kanewanaru on Friday. A stream mostly just for fun on Sunday, most likely Tomodachi Life, unless there's something in particular, some particular event. But yeah, all that said, yeah, see you next time.